Daniel, my name is Dempsey. I am a writer and a critic for Cinefied. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you today. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for talking to me.
No, thank you, man. You are a very talented filmmaker.
Thank
I
you.
I saw Navalny way back when it came out, and I was like truly blown away. And I've been following you for quite some time. So when I found out you're making a narrative movie, I was like, okay, this should be interesting. And Tuner blew me away. And I
Oh,
think it helped.
amazing.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I think it
so
helped the
glad.
fact. Yeah, no, of course. Definitely like one of my top films of the year so far. And that leads me to my first question is please explain to me how the same brain made these two movies and like the through line between how you went from one to the winning an Academy Award in the middle and then making another.
Well, that's a great question, Dempsey, and I really appreciate all the nice things you said about following my career and your admiration for my movies. I think that Tuner is very much a response to the Navalny film. Winning the Oscar when you're 29 is really cool, but it's really scary and sort of a double-edged sword. And the way that I chose to cope with that is by doing something completely different. What is something that couldn't be more different than a geopolitical thriller about democracy and politics and spies and assassinations? How about like kind of a fun, cool thriller, jazzy heist movie about a piano tuner? And that was really the inception point, and what inspired the pivot. But it was always my lifelong dream to make a fiction film. I entered the filmmaking world not through journalism, like many of my documentary colleagues, but through cinema and my film heroes. So this was always my dream, and I just feel very lucky that I was able to try and do it.
You did it with a capital D, okay, man. You rock. This movie rocks. I'm not gonna lie. I already told like five people that they need to check it out. I'm not kidding. The you. I'm so glad you spoke about the genre of the movie. Watching this movie, I was like, this feels like one part Whiplash, one part like Robert Bresson movie, and then like 50% just like potential like Jason Statham vibes Leo Woodall gives off. It's really cool what you did here. But the
Thank you.
thing that the no, of course, the thing that most surprised me about it was Dustin Hoffman. How the hell do you land someone like that in your first narrative feature film? Talk to me about what it was like to hook, line, and sink him.
Well, you get lucky. I mean, so much about casting is this nebulous experience that's predicated on luck. You like send a net out into the universe, and you're trying to get a big actor or a big movie star to do your movie. It's really hard, and you have to get lucky. And a lot of it is just about sort of like intangible. It sometimes feels like fate, like finding. There's this Yiddish expression called beshert, which is often attributed to like your true love. You have to find the one who's meant to be your true love for the movie. And in this case, I sent Dustin the script, and unbeknownst to me, when he was 15 years old, he wanted to be a jazz pianist. And so, here I had written this film about jazz and pianos, and this was one of the great passions of his life. And so he really loved the script. He really liked the world that we had built, and so he wanted to do it, which for me was extraordinary. He's one of my heroes. So getting to go and sit with him was amazing. His response to the material was incredible, and yeah, I was just so grateful that he said yes.
That is pretty cool. And I know Dustin Hoffman is also a filmmaker. So what was it like? Did he ever offer any tips to you on set or did he has he become a mentor since?
Yeah, I think so. When we were making that movie, he was like a grandfather to me. I really love him, and I feel so grateful that I have him in my life. Um, he taught me a lot about acting. He taught me a lot about his process as an actor. We took a walk through London one day, and he was just explaining to me how he would watch people and watch faces and see people and try and just sort of sonder and imagine the interior life of everyone he passed and what they're thinking about, what they're struggling with, what they're worried about. And to me, as a process, I thought it was very, very interesting. And then in addition to that, you know, Dustin comes from this school of acting that's about experimentation. It's okay to depart from the page and try something new. And he really framed each take or viewed each take as an opportunity, a chance to experiment, and as he would put it, a chance to make a fool of yourself, and just trust that the director won't make you look foolish in the movie. And I learned that those are the type of actors I really love to work with, who can sort of come up with things, who can depart the script and come back to the script and just follow tributaries. Um, so I feel really grateful for those lessons.
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the sound design in this movie, which not to keep on comparing a movie to other movies, but it was very reminiscent to like the most in recent memories of The Sound of Metal, with just
Yeah.
like you hear everything the character hears at times, and it's dialed to 10 literally, to literally put you in his shoes. What was the thought process of that, and how the hell did you pull it off so effectively?
I have no, I love when you compare my movies to my favorite movies. I'm totally fine with that. Um, um, I wanted to make a sound film. I wanted to make a film that puts as much emphasis on the auditory experience as the visual experience. And so, the opportunity to work with Johnny Byrne, the Academy Award winning Johnny Byrne on this film, was one of the great creative collaborations of the entire experience. And the genius of the sound design was really vested with Johnny. I really gave him the flexibility to explore and to play. And what we crafted together was a very sort of adventurous sound mix. You're watching that movie in a theater with people, and they're trained by the time that the air horn comes out for the second time, people are going like this, waiting for it. And I think that that's sort of like visceral haptic experience where you are in the mind in a very visceral sense of the character is a really cool, sort of fun cinematic thing. And anytime that happens, I always really appreciate it, whether it's sound or silence, and it works either way. And you referenced in Sound of Metal, one of my all-time favorites. Um, so yeah, that's sort of how the sound design came to be philosophically and spiritually. And Johnny Byrne always says, you can close your eyes, you can't close your ears. And so every time I make a movie now, I'm thinking about the sound, I'm thinking about the world. When we do, I'm working on my next film now, and when I do a scout, for example, I always bring an audio recorder with me. And if there's time, I'll just, if I'm in a restaurant or something, I'll just run it for, 2 minutes. Or, if there's a scene that takes place in a schoolyard and we are scouting a schoolyard, I'll just run it for 2 minutes just to collect sounds, and they go in the movie. We'll put them in the film. And so that's the process that I really, really like. And I really think sort of three dimensionally about what the soundscape is and how it's helping us tell the story.
That's brilliant. That's very exciting, and that is an inter. I'm curious to see how it informs, like you said, your future films, whether they're narrative or documentary going forward. I think I only have time for like a couple more questions. So I'm gonna try to make them quick.
Yeah, sure.
Leo and Havana in this movie. Looks like they're playing piano. Are they real piano players, or did they do the Bradley Cooper thing where they trained for 6 years to really play piano? Was it just some really creative and skillful shooting of angles? Talk to me, because they convinced me that they're like world class musicians in this movie.
Um, a little bit of both. I mean, they work so hard. Just to look like you can play piano like that is kind of unbelievable. And they work so hard just to get to a level where they could play sort of convincingly on the day, and sort of mime the movements. Havana had no piano when we started, and she could play that piece, which was kind of extraordinary. And when we shot that, big performance at the end of the movie, it was just unbelievable. It was extraordinary that what she had prepared and what she did. Um, so yeah, I was so drawn to how hard they worked, and it was amazing to see how far that they came with the piano. And Leo too. I didn't know how hard Leo was working until we showed up on the day, and he could sit there and play the piece. It was really impressive.
And banger last line of the movie too. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't want to spoil much else, but I will end the interview on this note. I just want to ask you, what are you hoping people take away from this movie? I mean, I was blown away simply by the action, and the style of it all. But is there something deeper?
Yeah, I think the film's about like agency and deciding who we are in the world, and it's about rehabilitation in a sense. This is a kid who has lost something. He was this virtuoso, now he can't play anymore, and he's trying to work through the very basic question of like, who am I if I'm not a piano player? And that's really hard for someone who's vested their entire identity in that one thing. So for me, the film is really about just that, and sort of coping with that loss and trying to like move forward in the world. But more than anything, more than these sort of esoteric thematics of what the movie's about to me, I just want people to have a great time and hope they have fun and hope it doesn't overstay its welcome and hope they like the music and enjoy the film.
Daniel, I'm telling you, I'm on a mission. Tell the PR team they can hire me. I'm going to tell everybody and their mother to go watch this movie. No, it's
I
really good.
really appreciate that. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and yeah, thank you for telling people to go see it. Thank you for chatting with me. You happen to get the word out.
Oh, of
I
course.
really appreciate it, man.
Oh, thank you for making a banger. Truly, I mean that from the heart. And pleasure to speak with you. And I cannot wait to see what you do next. Take care.
Thanks. I really appreciate it, man. Take care, Dempsey. Thank you so much.